everybody. Welcome back to our list of the top 25 Gator athletic teams, and we decided to do it a little novel way in terms of the softball team, because when we started this list, we compiled it, we did all the work and the research on it. Softball was still playing in the regionals, and we knew that we could have an issue here because we knew they were going to make a deep run. Of course, they did make it all the way to the finals. We talked about dropping them in somewhere, but then we have to redo all the videos. So basically, this is what we came up with, just to discuss where we would put them in this list. I guess that means the 94 basketball team gets bounced out because they were 25th. But this team, 60.
That's a tough bounce.
It is a tough bounce. And
Final Four team.
Final Four team gets knocked out. But for the softball team, Robbie, it was an amazing run. It captured the imagination. And like I wrote in the column after they were done, they changed the landscape of sports the last 2 years here in Florida.
Yeah, they did. And it was a special team. It's, Urban Meyer went to games. He loved that team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they had the team concept. They did things fundamentally sound. They did the right things. They had a great chemistry. And somebody at one of the games said that the coach reminded them of Spurrier. And I said, no, he reminds me of Meyer, not Spurrier.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what he was. He was a lot like Meyer.
He's not funny enough to be like Spurrier.
No.
Yeah. Well, first of all, guys, we got to decide whether this team belongs in there. And Kevin, you saw this team play some super regional play or some regional play. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, judging from our list, I mean, you would have to say definitely the 15 to 20 range because they were a runner-up. And when you take a look at the 2005 baseball team and the 2003 volleyball team, they were in that range of runner-up teams. Certainly a player like Stacey Nelson is, I think, will probably go down as, probably an iconic female athlete at Florida. I mean, she was an incredible pitcher. She had an incredible run. Kind of probably, as you saw, maybe ran out of gas a little bit at the end. But certainly when you take a look at the innings and the strikeouts and what she piled up, she certainly was, obviously a very special player.
Well, John, when you look at this team, you're talking about 63-5, won the SEC, lost one game, and barely. It took a diving catch for them to lose that game. Made it all the way, had the dramatic win, of course, over Alabama and Allie Gardner's grand slam in the bottom of the seventh. Is that what you're looking at, somewhere in the 15 to 25 range?
I think that's about right. If you look at our number 15 team, it's the 1995 football team,
right,
which very well had they beaten Nebraska, they very well could be number one. They would be the only undefeated team in the football or basketball area, and they would have definite consideration for number one. So you have to put the softball team in the context with teams like that, and 15 to 20 does sound about right. Along, like what Kevin mentioned, the baseball team from a few years back, they were second also.
Robbie, I've been getting a hard time from Shane Matthews, among others, about how low we had 95 football, and I keep reminding them they got destroyed in their final game. And
unfortunately, that's what people remember about
that's what
that
I
team,
remember.
is that game that was over at halftime, and it was kind of an embarrassment. But John's right. If that team wins that game, only undefeated team in Florida history, football history, they're the number one team.
Well, so ahead or below 95 football, where would you put this softball team?
I'd put it right maybe behind football 95. But I think definitely in the 15 to 20 range. It was a special team that made it to the final. They had great chemistry. It was a great team to watch, a fun team to watch. And I just think, Kevin mentioned Stacey Nelson. She's going to be one of the all-time great athletes in Florida history.
Absolutely, and look, they're not going away either. They're going to come back next year with another great team.
I think they'll be in the final again next year.
They could easily be there.
Chance.
A lot of talent coming back and some good young players coming in.
And I think it's kind of a culmination of kind of a 2-year run for them too, because they had made the College World Series the year before. It was kind of building towards something.
Got to within one game of the finals, yes.
And you mentioned if we were doing a top 25 moments in Florida sports history, you mentioned Allie Gardner's home run. That probably would be top 5 all time.
It was in my top 5, and I did a list online, a blog, where I had my top 5 and my second 5, and Allie Gardner was number 3. I mean, that was one of those moments where you look at your phone and it's blowing up, texts, calls, voicemails, and that shows you. It wasn't. These were people that 5 years ago didn't know Florida had a softball team, Robbie.
It's in the top 5, definitely. And Pat, I remember going out and covering softball when they first started here. It was like 1-0. It was everybody trying to bunt the ball. It's such a different game now, so much more entertaining. Women's softball has come a long way in the time it's been here.
Well, and I loved covering that team. Oklahoma City was great. I got to put them probably at 16. Ahead of men's baseball in 2005, because men's baseball, same thing, got to the College World Series, went through it, people were excited, running around screaming. got to the finals, got swept. It was almost the same, but that team wasn't a dominant team during the regular season. That team was like 48-23, I think. Won the SEC though. Got to give them credit for that. Did not win the tournament, as this team did win the tournament. So I think either 16 or 17. I mean, we got 85 women's golf at 16. That was a great team as well. So maybe 17, just ahead of baseball.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so 17. That's where we're putting them.
Okay,
Yeah, everybody agree on that?
Good. I definitely say
works.
ahead of baseball. That baseball team was just kind of good fortune, you know.
Well, they patched it together. I mean,
yeah,
they had one game where
overachieved more than
struck out. What was it, 18 times and beat Vanderbilt to win the SEC. I mean, that was a great team. And they
I wonder who was pitching in that game.
I think David Price, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what I still don't agree with, though, bouncing the 94 basketball team from the top 25. Come on, the meat hook, Dan Cross. That was you know what I mean? That was a breakthrough team.
I know, but you only have 25 spots. So you're going to bounce a national championship?
About like 93 golf or something like that.
They won the national championship. That was a great team.
Okay.
That was a great moment.
Who was on that team? That was 93 would have been Couch, Gay.
Couch, yeah.
Brian Gay, I don't know if you've heard of him.
Okay, then they're far too low at number 20.
But hey,
it is hard to bounce the Final Four team because that was.
It is, but I'll
amazing
be honest
run
with
that
you.
Team went on.
We probably had the 05 baseball team too high. You know, but
Throw 'em out.
that's we're not throwing them out. We're not throwing anybody out. We're gonna make it the top 26.
No love for the meat hook, who is still
I
playing in
love the meat
Slovenia.
hook. The meat hook was great. When he lost weight, it was boring. I liked him better when
Yeah,
he was fat.
when he was big. Yeah.
He was like he was every fat man's hero. So, but anyway, that's going to be our list, and we enjoy doing this, and I hope everybody else. We've gotten some negative comments, but mostly really positive comments. And I got an email the other day from somebody. I can't remember who it was on one of the tennis or swimming teams. Just honored to be on this list.
That's great.
And I know you got a lot of that, Robbie.
Yeah.
When you talk to people, like, well, really, we're on there?
Oh yeah.
So it was mostly positive, and of course, we're still counting down to the #1 team. And
But,
Robbie knows who it
debate.
is.
But the debate's good. That's one of the reasons we did.
That's why
this,
you
so
do these
people-
things.
Absolutely.
Nobody's going to agree on our list.
No, and we're going to start, after we get done with this, we're going to do videos for our top 25 SEC players for 2009 and in college football, so be able to have another list to go through. Hey, we're all about lists here. Till next time, Robbie Andrew, Pat Dooley, John Patton, Kevin Brockway, the Gainesville Sun. This is it. This is the staff saying so long from the Sunshine State.